All right.
All right, Coach Mar, how does this feel after what we went through this whole year? Kind of a year that you don't want to ever repeat ever again. What's it gonna be like now? About to take the field on Wednesday for the first time.
Oh, I want to first. It's exhilarating, honestly, to say the least. Um, we had a tough year. We had a tough road. We were, vamping up to get onto the field, and then suddenly, pandemic hit, and we were cut right at the knees, and we were ready. But knowing what we went through last year, and being able to focus over the last few weeks at practice, the girls were looking good. I feel, along with my coaching staff, we feel like we're going to be able to compete this year. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. What are some of the challenges you got? Only about a month ago, got to go ahead that there's going to be a season. Very few practices. Going to start the season pretty quick. How much of a challenge is that to ramp up, and how is the energy, and how are you guys getting ready for this type of challenge?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. Usually, when we're prepping for a season, we'll start practicing anywhere from the end of January to the middle of February. We essentially started on March 1st, so it's a very quick turnaround. But the team has been hungry since last semester when we were doing skill development. They were really eager to get together as a whole instead of being separated like we had to be last semester. But they've got a really great chemistry in practice and everything. So we're hoping that that chemistry translates into a game situation and we could really do some damage.
Absolutely. Now, I saw that the schedule is all conference Penn State opponents, and your first one Wednesday doubleheader at Penn State Schoolkill. Is that a challenge to not have any ramp up games or go right facing the league play? How exciting is that you're going to get to take on rivals and foes this whole season?
I don't know if it's more of a challenge. Their Schuylkill did play at Penn State Mount Alto over the weekend, so I think a good part of that was that the game was live streamed, so I was able to watch, Schuylkill, see what they were doing. We didn't have anything going on yet, so we're kind of going in there as almost a dark horse. No one knows what we've got, but I definitely feel like they're ready to go. And once we step out there, they're gonna really open up, and hopefully we're able to compete and show what we can do here in the conference.
Absolutely. Who are some of the players, both pitching and offensive and defensively, position players? Who are some of the players we should look out for this year?
We actually have a transfer from Lackawanna College in Vanessa Wolf. She is a very, very good outfielder. She can cover a lot of ground. She's fast. She's very great at tracking the ball. Also in the outfield, we have sophomore Rachel Butler, who also has great speed. They both have amazing arms. I'm excited to put that duo out there. In the circle, we have a returning player in Emily Scarfo. We lost her to injury back in 2019, but we have her back. She's stronger than she was then. We also have Rachel Kranick, who's also a third baseman on our team, who also will be throwing for us in the circle. So I think that coming into the season, we'll be all right.
How about your team captains? I know last year you were going to have Catherine Leahy as a freshman, a captain as a catcher, now as a sophomore. And how are your captains going to be extension of you on the field? How important are they, especially in a season like this where you're kind of distanced and you're trying to build that chemistry? How important will your captains play?
Oh, that's going to be very crucial to our success. Over the last few weeks, over the last few months, really, we were able to determine that our senior second baseman, Lauren Shabarasi, could be that person to, complement Kat as a catcher and for another captain. They both have great attitudes. They're always there to pick each other up. Having one of your captains as a catcher is big. They're essentially seen as the field general. So they're going to see everything. They're very vocal, the two of them. They don't let anybody get down on themselves. So having a combination of a senior with an underclassman, I think that's a good combination, because at that point you have the comfortable connection between the new players and the seasoned players of having that captain leadership role.
Absolutely. And then before we get to the final question about kind of what your overall goal for this year to be successful, I know that some of the players were telling me about Zoom and how constant communication, whether it was in physically getting to be together or even doing it through Zoom. How important was that throughout all this to keep the communication up and to keep everyone as motivated as possible and kind of informed throughout all this?
Oh, for me, a big thing that I have that I strive for as a coach is open communication. I want to make sure that they know what's going on. I want to make sure, especially during this time that we've had over the last year, I wanted to make sure that they got to know each other. As most coaching staffs know, chemistry is big, very, very big. So when it comes down to them seeing each other on Zoom and seeing certain people in skill development, that helped them start to develop that team chemistry. And I tried to have as many team Zooms as I could over the time. And during that time, we would have some team talks, and then we would have some just downtime of them just getting to know each other. So I definitely think that being able to utilize that during this time benefited us a lot, because the first time they were practicing in a full practice setting, their chemistry was perfect. Like, they talk to each other, they trust each other, and trust is big in this game. So.
Absolutely. Are the COVID protocols, has that been kind of crazy to get used to, or is at this point kind of starting to get used to and accustomed to dealing with it throughout?
I'd say at first it was interesting, getting used to coaching with a mask on and having them be able to hear you, to then learning to play with a mask on. It's completely different than what you're used to. So they've definitely adapted very well. They don't seem to have any issues breathing or doing any activities in practice with their masks up, the social distancing, and making sure that everything's sanitized. We've hit a flow, so we're okay, and we're able to just, it's like clockwork at this point. It's turned into almost an automatic type thing. It's not something I ever thought as a head coach that I'd have to worry about all of these different things, which it does add another caveat to the coaching portion of the job. But honestly, when it comes down to it, if we have to do this stuff in order to get on the field, I'm more than willing, and the team is more than willing to do what we have to get out there.
Absolutely. And then my final question is, what would you consider, whether it be wins or losses, consistency, what would this season mean to be a success? How would you deem that?
Obviously, we would like to win some games, which I feel we are competitive enough to be able to throw some wins in that column. But in my opinion, completing our full schedule, and them getting that experience that they missed out on last year, and just overall building that bond and being able to have these memories that aren't just on Zoom, and being able to say that they made it through the toughest year and all of their hard work paid off. So for me, obviously, a few wins in the win column would be ideal, but ultimately I want to make sure that they get out of this season what they missed out of last year. So
absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and have a great season.
Thank you very much.